Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Light back here with another YouTube video, and in today's video we're gonna be doing the problems with Avengers Endgame. Now, quickly before I start the video, I just want to point this out very clearly. And no way am I saying that Avengers Endgame is a bad movie or I don't like it or anything. I do like the movie and everything, but I'm doing this current series right now. I guess it's called a series, I guess now, where I just find problems within movies and such. So, yeah, and I said in the last video I actually did Guardians 2, and I said I wanted to do Avengers Endgame. So, yeah, here we go. I am doing it now. So, yeah, I just rewatched the movie, so it's fresh in my mind, and I was looking for certain problematic areas and stuff like that in the movies. And these are just honest critiques and stuff. It's not like, this movie's trash or anything like that. It's more so critiques. That's what I'm just trying to do. And kind of doing this just so in case someone wants to look at it from a different perspective and say like, say someone likes Avengers Endgame for example, and then you hear other people that don't like it. Maybe perhaps you want to hear a perspective of why that happens. Uh, I know certainly I sometimes like to hear that. Just currently like what are people's like critiques of the movie or whatnot. So yeah, I just felt like I want to do a video on this. So yeah, why not? So yeah, in today's video we got the problems with Avengers Endgame here. So like I just said, this movie is pretty good. I enjoy it, but I know it does get a lot of. I know a lot of people like it and a lot of people dislike it at the same time. People kind of like it more so towards because it's the ending of an era basically, and then there's some people who dislike it for various reasons, which I might just say the various reasons in this video. Pretty sure I wouldn't name them all, for example, but I know I could definitely name a few, at least stuff I see wrong with it and stuff like that. But anyways, let's get into it. Now, first off, I want to get this problem right out the way. I know some people might get mad at this, but in all honesty, this movie drives off a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people. That's why a lot of people probably think it's good. And of course, nostalgia isn't a bad thing or anything like that, but it kind of rides off of it a little bit too much in this. In all honesty, like I even kind of fall into that too, because it is a very nostalgic movie, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but I mean, if you're a newer viewer and stuff like that, like you just started watching it with Infinity War, for example, or in mid 2016 or whatever the case is, this will be less nostalgic to you, for example. But I mean, say you're watching this since like Iron Man 1, for example, because personally I've been watching it, and it was always interesting to see like just the MCU grow into this huge thing now, and it was super interesting to see that happen. And then you see a lot of like, for example, I'll relate this to me. For example, I've seen these movies since I was a little kid, starting with Iron Man 1, of course, and I continued watching them as I grew older and currently to this day. So yeah, and then it was interesting kind of to see like some of the characters that I grew up watching, like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, all these characters I grew up watching ending up in this end kind of like final farewell, if I must say, like the Avengers final farewell. I know they'll probably make Avengers again, but I mean this kind of original team here with like Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and stuff like that. So I was pretty excited to kind of sad and a little bit excited to see it, and it reminds me a lot of nostalgia. A lot of scenes in it as well is very nostalgic. Like for example, we saw like them go when they're the time travel sequence. We were seeing stuff that we previously saw before, and it just reminded you all that stuff like the original Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy 1. That opening scene that was pretty cool to see all that come down. And then this was more so not really too nostalgic per se, but I mean it was kind of like not sad, but I mean it was interesting seeing that Tony Stark and uh, Howard Stark meeting up. It was pretty interesting to see that happen. Same with Captain America ended up meeting Peggy. That was pretty interesting as well. I guess you could say that's nostalgia a little bit, but it's not really too much. But I mean, compared to everything else, so there's that, of course. And I thought that made the movie just very much more interesting and everything. Uh, so yeah, that's one of the reasons. I could definitely see a problem with that. I mean, if you're a newer viewer and you took nostalgia after the factor of that, it might be a little bit different, and that leads me to another problem, which is the length. I mean, it's 3 hours, and I understand it's a finale and stuff. And personally, like as a fan of this movie, I'm not really complaining, but I could see how that's a problem again because most of this movie is like nostalgic from these previous movies and everything. Uh, yeah, from the previous movies and everything. So of course, if you're not like this is not nostalgic to you, you're gonna be like, yeah, this is a bit long. It's kind of a little bit dragging on a little bit. So I understand for that reason people might not like it. Uh, yeah, I mean, I could see definitely that being a reason why. Just with all the length and everything, because it is a pretty long movie. It's about 3 hours long. I think it's a little bit over 3 hours. So it's a long movie, but I mean, personally, I thought it was much needed. I mean, yeah, I definitely think it was much needed. I think it was just enough for satisfaction for a finale. So that's something I did enjoy and everything. Now, yeah, and of course, I'll mention something good here. That whole endgame battle, the final battle, that whole like I don't even know what you call it, but like when everybody joined together, that was definitely a very interesting thing and much needed for that as well. So I mean, at the same time, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's much needed, but at the same time, maybe, I mean, I'm not gonna say they should have cut some stuff out, but I mean, it definitely was a bit long in a sense. So yeah. Another reason could be definitely again like it was very not. I don't know how to say this, but like it wasn't written very well in a sense. I mean, yeah, it was written. It did give, of course, nostalgia and everything, but at the same time, I could understand like someone who's never watched these like or doesn't even understand time travel to begin with. It could definitely be a hassle with that. I mean, personally, I wasn't really big into time traveling and stuff when I originally watched the movie. So I didn't understand it. It didn't really explain very well. Like this something puzzles me to this day is why in the ending when there's the old Nebula and the one from the current time, uh, when the current time Nebula killed the old Nebula, why didn't the current time Nebula end up dying? Because that's like the obvious choice. Because like technically she wasn't really there. So that's something I don't understand as well, which I hope they could maybe explain a little bit. Maybe they could explain in Guardians 3 a bit better or something because they didn't really explain it too well in this. Uh, but I mean, it took me a few times of watching this movie to like kind of understand exactly what's going on and everything, and how they're using like the quantum realm and stuff like that. So in like that whole ending where they snap Thanos away, I wasn't really understanding at first, but then I understood more and more as I watched it. So that could be another thing that's kind of confusing people. Uh, and that kind of ties into another thing, which I don't know if I'll say for another video, but it kind of ties into the multiverse kind of sort of thing, where it goes into that because like again like they gotta explain that really well because it could get confusing and stuff like that. Uh, so that's another thing as well. I don't know if I'll do a video on that, but I mean that's another thing. Uh, but I mean, yeah, the whole time travel thing in Endgame kind of confused me personally, and I know it definitely confused a lot of other people too. Uh, so yeah, that was another thing as well. I could understand why you didn't really like it. Uh, Another thing too is just the sheer amount of characters. There's way too many characters. I'm gonna be full honestly. I as much as I like all these characters in one movie, uh, just there's too many characters to really focus on a character for that long. Like I'll point out something very important. For example, at the funeral scene, we saw that it takes place on Earth, and we saw that Peter Quill was there. Now, if anybody realized this, Peter Quill hadn't stepped on Earth since his mother died. So that would kind of bring up some emotion from him, but we literally saw nothing from him. So that's one thing as well. I hope they address in like whenever he makes his next appearance, because he barely even said anything about it, and I just find it a little bit weird or something and stuff like that. I find it very weird how this is his first time he has nothing to say really. Like that would maybe be like maybe they would say something. I don't know. It just feels like that would happen. Another thing is like it doesn't really. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't focus on a lot of the characters, but at the same time, uh, maybe they could have used more of the characters or something. And I see this is why a lot of people also would have wanted like a 4 hour cut or something, which I can't believe can't remember when they said it, but I'm pretty sure the Russo brothers confirmed that there was like a 5 hour cut of Endgame. So I understand that's kind of probably why people want to see that and stuff like that. Just because it would give more speaking dialogue to some of these other characters that we kind of saw in the background a little bit. Like, for example, like Black Panther or Spider Man. Like, I felt like there should have been a bit more interaction between the characters and stuff. That's just personally my opinion. Like, we didn't even hear anything from, like, Drax, even though he probably said something funny or something. But we didn't hear anything from him. Groot didn't even say I am Groot either at all. I don't think so. So that's like another thing with like having these big movies and stuff is you don't really get to focus on a lot of the characters, and it kind of takes away like this movie was heavily focused on like Captain America and Iron Man for a lot of it, like Thor kind of, but I get why. But it's because these two are like been a staple for the MCU and they're kind of leaving, but whereas Thor isn't leaving quite yet. So yeah, I understand that kind of. So that's one thing, but I mean definitely they could have done some more stuff with some of the other characters. It also kind of focuses on Hulk too, but I mean, personally, I would have liked to see some more dialogue for some certain characters and stuff like that. So that's just one thing. Uh, there definitely could have been some stuff maybe they could have explained a little bit better, like for example, how Bruce Banner turned into Professor Hulk. I know they say like he combined and stuff. It just feels like it needs to be a little bit more explained. Personally, I would have maybe loved the scene of like maybe him doing that or something, because that could definitely been interesting. But yeah. Anyways, I mean, Endgame is still a good movie. I still enjoy watching it. I'll still watch it anytime it comes on or anything like that, or I put it on or whatever. But I mean, it definitely does have its fair share of problems. But anyways, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.